Hello, Stampers. Welcome to our Wrapped in Cheer alternate card project class. I will go ahead and get started because we have four cards to stamp today, and you will be stamping two of each. I'll only be stamping one because I already made these samples. So let's start with card number one, which is our big thanks card. Now, there was not a stamp in this that said thanks, and these were made to be Christmas cards, but it's past Christmas, and I need thank you cards for some of the wonderful gifts that I received. So I'm doing mine as thank you cards. You can do yours as anything that you want. So you can do the Merry Christmas cards and have these for next year, or actually the end of this year, or you can choose whatever you'd like to do. Now, I did use the Thanks and Beyond dies. This is the coordinating die set to this quarter's paper pumpkin kits for the Thanks. And you can use any that you have in your die kit collection. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my little stamping pad here so I don't make a mess over the entire desktop. And I'm going to grab our pieces. So once again, I'm going to show you one of every piece, but you will need two of each piece. Okay, so we have our Mossy Meadow paper. Now you can use any color paper that coordinates with this kit. So if you don't have Mossy Meadow, don't worry about it. You could use Always Artichoke, you could use Old Olive, or black or red or anything that you want. So whatever you have in your collection, it doesn't matter. It's still going to look great at the end. Then I have two pieces of the basic beige. I did add texture. There we go. I added texture to one of the sheets, and these are 4 by 5 1/4. And the texture that I used came from the Basics 3D embossing folder set. Once again, you can use any embossing folder that you have in your collection that you like with this design. I used the embossing folder that I'm calling number 2. Okay, so we have two of those. So you'll need 4. And I'm going to darken this a little bit on my camera. There, you can see it a little bit better. At least on my camera, I can. Okay, then you are going to take one of the boxes that came in the kit. And I'm using these boxes as designer series paper. So I have just taken the box and I have cut this into 2 5/8 by 3 3/4. And you would pull that out of this bigger section in your box. And you'll need 2 of those. Then you'll need one of your cherry cobbler striped banner pieces. Well, you'll need 2. And you need 2 of the leaves and your thanks. And then I have Old Olive, a circle that is 2 3/4. I'm sorry, 3/8. And I have a white that is 2 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. And we're starting with our card base. And we're just going to fold that in half. Get a bone folder and get that nice crisp edge. Okay, this is going to be a horizontal card. So make sure you have your opening at the bottom. And then we have one of our 4 by 5 1/4 inch basic beige pieces. You could use white if you don't have basic beige. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to mount that in the center of our card base. Let's take the second basic beige piece and we're going to open this up and glue that to the center inside. Okay, now I have taken this cherry cobbler striped banner that came in your kit and I trimmed it down so it is 3 5/8 inches long. And that's going to go over here in the left corner. But what I want to do is glue this down first. But I'm going to use this as a guide to tell me where to put it. So once again, this is 2 5/8 by 3 3/4. Okay, I want my point showing down here, so I don't want to put this below that. So I'm going to bring it up about 3/8 of an inch from where that point would be. And I'm going to go in about 1/4 of an inch on the right. And you want to make that nice and straight. And go ahead and glue that on. And we can glue our banner piece as well. And I'm just taking that over and I'm going to have it be about 1/4 of an inch from the left, aligned at the top with the basic beige piece. So we have it like that. Okay, I'm going to wait just a second and let you get caught up because I know you're doing 2 pieces and I'm going rather fast. Okay, let's set this aside for just a minute. And we are going to get our white circle. Now I'm going to put a piece of black behind it so you can see it better. And this helps me when I am stamping to see that circle as well. So we're going to get our little wreath stamp that came in our kit, and I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow ink pad. And that is the ink pad that came in your kit, so you do have that color. And we're going to stamp this right in the center. And I'm having the section that doesn't have the leaves on it to the right. And that looks fine on its own, but I thought it would be fun to add some berries to this. So I'm going to use my cherry cobbler. This is the dark cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend pen. And I'm using the pointed tip. And I'm just going to add some dots for my berries. I'm just going to randomly just add. I'm going to put some on the inside, some on the outside. Okay, and as you can see, I have them in bunches of 3. And once you have stamped this piece, let's go ahead and glue that to the center of the 2 3/8 inch old olive circle. And because I just stamped that, I'm just going to flip it over and rub it this way to make sure that my adhesive is adhered well. Okay, so now we want to add our little leaves here. We're going to slide this piece underneath here. And this piece, this little guy, I'm going to trim away these little stems here. This guy is going to go down here at the bottom. And these are surrounding the circle that you stamped. Okay, so I'm going to put adhesive on this one first. So I'm going to get my little silicone craft sheet so I don't get glue everywhere. And I'm just going to put small dots of adhesive on the back of these little petals. And this is where I want my thanks to be, right in the center of our plaid here. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to slide that underneath over here on the left and glue that down. Okay, then I'm going to glue my bigger piece and I'm going to go ahead and take off this bottom part because we don't need that. And I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive little dabs of adhesive on the back of each one of those petals. I want this to be held down. And I'm just going to slide this over the top here. Okay, then I'm going to take this extra little piece and I'm going to slide that over here to the left bottom. Like that. So I'm basically framing the left side of that circle with those petals. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and glue down our circle. And I'm leaving about a half of an inch over here of red. I'm leaving about a half inch down here at the bottom. Basically, this circle is in the center of this plaid on the left edge. Like that. So I'm going to give you a minute to get those petals and your circle glued down. And then I have my little thanks die cut, or whatever die cut you have that you are using for your card. And I'm just going to add little dots of adhesive to the back of that thanks. And we're just going to go ahead and align that over the top of this right side of our circle. And I'm kind of putting the right edge or the right side of that H centered in those green lines that don't have leaves on it on my circle. Hey, you want that to be nice and straight. And once again, I need thank you cards for Christmas, so I'm doing mine as thanks, but you can do yours for whatever holiday that you want. I know that we have dice for that say Merry and Christmas and all that, so you might want to just make it a Christmas card. Okay, then I have the From Our Home to Yours, and I believe, let me make sure. Yes, that is one of the stamps that came in your kit. And I'm going to use Cherry Cobbler ink. And I'm going to stamp that right below that thanks. And then we're going to get out our dots, our gel dots that came in the kit. And I'm going to add 3 of those to the bottom right corner of my card. So what I like to do is I like to put the center one first, and then put the one to the right, and one to the left. Putting that center one helps me to get this evenly spaced. So that's just the way I like to do it. Okay, so we have finished the front of our card. I'm going to give you a minute or two to catch up. And then we'll decorate the inside. Okay, so I'm going to use Mossy Meadow ink. I'm going to open this up, and I have a Mossy Meadow Stampin' Write marker. You could use a Stampin' Blend, or you can just skip this part if you don't have either. And I'm just going to, well, actually, I'm going to stamp first. And I'm using a leaf branch from the June 2025 Full of Charm paper pumpkin kit. So you'll have to go into one of your past kits for this. You could also do the wreath that came inside the, oh, stamp pad was stuck. The wreath that's inside your kit if you want. But I'm just going to ink this up really well, and I'm going to stamp. Oh, okay, I'm going to, sorry, my ink pad needs to be added ink. And I need to add ink. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp this once, and then I'm going to turn it and stamp it again so I get a lighter shade of that same color. And then once again, I'm going to use my dark cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend to add some berries to this. So I'm just going to, and this one I want the berries to be a little bit bigger. So I'm actually going to color those in a little bit. I'm just going to add a few single ones here and there. There we go. We have our berries. And now I'm going to use that marker, and I'm using the writer tip. And I'm just going to kind of swirl some lines around, stop at the border there, swirl. I'm just adding a little border around, and then I'm just going to put on some little tick marks. Tick marks are great for hiding any little imperfection you may have. And I'm just going to put a green dot at the end of both of those. And you know what? I'm going to add one green dot over here. Okay, so I have my little border around. Okay, that just adds a little something to the inside of your card. Super easy to do if you don't just want it to be plain. All right, so you're going to stamp the back of this with your stamped by stamp. And I'm going to grab mine. Oops, it's a little to the side. Okay, and then I do try to sell my cards, so I need to add the little copyright from Stampin' Up! To this. Anytime you sell your cards using Stampin' Up! Products, or that were made with Stampin' Up! Products, you need to have the copyright for Stampin' Up! On there. That is something that they require. Normally, this would be straight. Okay, so I have my card stamped on the back. There is the inside of the card, and here is the front of the card. Okay, so we need an envelope though, and I'm going to stamp the envelopes the same way I stamped the inside of this card. Okay, so I'm just going to grab two envelopes. I'm going to make sure they are facing the right direction. Get my leaf. And I'm going to do it over here on the left instead. I'm going to do it once, twice. Once, twice. Okay, the blend is going to bleed through my envelope here. So I'm going to put a piece of cardboard inside. And then I can add my berries. I don't want this bleeding through the back of the envelope. Okay. And if you want to, you can do the same thing that you did on the inside of your card and just add a wavy little border around your envelope. I'm going to add some tick marks. There we go. So there is one envelope. There's my berries. And I'm going to add my little border around. Just kind of fun. Here we go. Let me show you all the pieces now. So you have your envelope. You have the inside of your card and the base. Okay, so my program here has decided to automatically zoom in. So you're not seeing the whole thing. So let me see if I can figure out how to stop that. Okay. How do I get this to? Oh my goodness, I don't know how to get it to come out. I can bring it up myself. Not so much. Well, sorry. They changed things and I don't know how to fix it. So, um, what happened here? Goodness, I'm having a day. Okay. How do I get that to stop automatically zooming? Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, I don't know. I can't see it. So hopefully, once again, there is the inside of the card. There is the front of the card. And here is our envelope. Okay. Let's move on to card number 2. I want this to move out. What's it doing? I know, I'm whining. I'm sorry. Okay, what's this? Okay. Those tools, let's see. Give me just a second. I'm trying to see if I can get this to stop automatically zooming. Hopefully this is giving you time to catch up. Okay, where's the computer? Spin participant, okay. I don't know. All right, so zoom out. Zoom out. Let's see. Autofocus. Anything? It didn't zoom us out, did it? Okay, let me bring this up a little bit. I don't know what's happening. Okay, I'll try to figure it out for next time. Okay, let's move on to card number 2. And that is coming. Oh my goodness. Okay, here it is. Here's card number 2. Zoom out. Zoom out. I want to see the whole thing. You're not zooming out. Okay. Well, the auto zoom, don't like it. Let's see. Auto frame my video. Let's see if I take, oh, look, I did it, I think. I think I did it. I think I did it. Let me bring this back up. Whoa. Close your eyes if you're getting dizzy. Okay. Okay, I think we're better now. You can see the whole thing, so that's good. Okay, so here's our second card. And for that, you're going to need a piece of red or what coordinating color you choose. That is 5.5 by 8.5. You have a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. You have a piece, this is Mossy Meadow, uh, basic beige that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then we have opened up our box that came in our kit. Open that up completely. Let me grab, I think I have one. Okay, here's an original one. So you're going to open this up and you're going to cut in the middle to get a piece that is 3 3/4 by 5. And you have lots of score lines in here. And the best way to get rid of those is to use an embossing folder that will use a gentle background. So I use the exposed brick 3D. So that doesn't have a lot of texture to it. And so I ran this through with that embossing folder and it took away all those fold lines. So then it just becomes a nice flat piece. So you don't want one with heavy embossing unless you would like that for your card. Okay, so then we have one of the green stripe banner pieces. We have one of our leaf branches. We have one of the wreaths. Excuse me. One of our labels from the kit and one of the tags from the kit. And this is the red tag, obviously. So let's go ahead and see what we're doing here. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inch card base, and we're going to fold that in half and get that nice crisp edge. Our opening is going to be over here on the right. And I'm going to take our beige piece. Now you could use white or any other color, light color that you want, because this is where you're going to be writing your greeting. And once again, this is 4 by 5 1/4. And you're going to put that right in the center. I'm going to slow it down a little bit because I know that you're trying to do 2 cards at once. Most of you are watching the video, so you can be going back and forth, stopping and starting as much as you need to. Okay, now we need a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. And once again, this is Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to put that on the center front of our card base. I'm going to take our box piece that we made into pattern paper. And we're going to glue that to the center of that green. Okay, let's get our green tag. Now there is a little punched hole up here. I don't want that to show, so I'm going to make sure that I put adhesive over that. So that little dot stays in there. it really won't be noticeable when you finish this card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to align this to the left about 1/4 of an inch from the side of our plaid paper. And I'm going to get one of the wreaths from our kit. Now you'll notice that one side is the mossy meadow, the other side is old olive. You can decide which one you like better. I'm going to use the darker color to the front. Okay, so I'm just going to use my multi-purpose adhesive and I'm just going to add a thin amount on this piece. So I'm just going right around that circle. And I'm not going to worry about these two thin areas because those are going to be hidden underneath our little tag. So I'm just going to put this up in this top corner on the right. Oops. So here's your tag. And we're going to take that. And you can put this on with a stamp and dimensional if you want. I'm gluing it flat down because our little thanks so much label is going to be on dimensionals. And so I just want those to be at different levels. So I'm just going to align this hole over the top of that one that we tried to cover and put it at an angle. And we have our little leaf branch. And I'm going to flip this over because I want the beige side to be facing upwards. Okay, I don't really like this circle here, so I'm going to trim that away. So it's like that. Okay, and to adhere this, I'm just going to use the multi-purpose adhesive. And once again, just put little dots on the larger petals. I'm not worried about the little tiny dots on here to put adhesive because I'm going to be covering that with gems. But if you're not going to use gems, then I suggest that you glue those down a little bit as well. Okay, so for this next part, you can use one of the bows that came in your kit to just add a little ribbon at the top like this. Or if you'd like a little bit more dimension, a little more fun, you can add ribbon. Now I have one of our retired ribbons. We've had this in our collection for a really long time, but it worked really well with this, the shades in this card. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. I encourage you to please use up your supplies that you have. I know some of us are so worried about not having our supplies, but trust me, when you use up what you have, you get to buy more. So, okay, so now I'm just going to tie a bow using this ribbon. And this is the double stitched ribbon, and the color is River Rock. So if you're looking for this exact ribbon in your collection, that's the one that it is. So I just tied a bow, and I'm going to use mini glue dots to adhere this. And so normally I would just do cut the end at an angle, but I want the double tipped look on this one. So I'm just going to fold this ribbon in half and then just clip it. And then you get that nice V shape here. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to fold this in half and cut at an angle to get that shape. Okay, and mini glue dots. I believe you had some that came in the kit. If not, you've gotten them in the past. So you should have supply of these. And I'm just going to add a few of these. Now, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do this time. I'm going to put a dot of adhesive on the back of this loop on both sides, because for this card, I want the ribbon to stay in place. Okay? Because I want to cover up that hole, and I don't want my ribbon moving. I want it to go, I don't want it to go over the top of the card. You know what? I want that. Okay, so I don't like how this looks here. So I'm going to see if I can get this up. I don't think I'll be able to. Let me try. Okay, I'm going to trim this a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to have that stem going that way, and I'm going to trim this to match that leaf shape. Be easier with an X-Acto knife, so let me do that. There we go. Okay. So I kind of finished off the top of that. It was a little funky looking. You can see on this one, the way I laid out the ribbon, I was able to kind of cover that. And I will put a little mini glue dot underneath this to hide that. So this looks like, so it's not just like a floating branch there. So let me get I'm going to grab one of these. These are the ones that come in our kit. And so I'm just going to put one right here. So I can take this end of the ribbon and stick it down there, and now that will cover the end of that branch. Okay, now we have our little banner label here. And I'm going to put this on black so we can both see it better. And I'm using the Thanks So Much stamp. And once again, I believe that was from the June 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit. But you should have the kit for tomorrow. And in that kit is a thank you. So you can pull that out and it will be tight, but that will fit on there as well. So if you don't have a Thanks So Much stamp, you can't find your June kit, you still can use that one if you want a thank you card. So I'm going to ink that up really well and add my thanks so much to the center of that piece. It's a little light on the right, so I'm going to take my Mossy Meadow pen, if I can find it. Here it is. And I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to this side to make it look like I stamped it better than I did. Once again, my ink pad needs to be redone, and I can't do it right now because then it will be too juicy and everything will look terrible. So anytime you re-ink a pad, I do not recommend that you use it immediately. I would give it an hour or two to let that ink soak in, or else it will be way too juicy. Okay, but that's the beauty of our writer tips is that the ink is the same, so you can go in there and fill it in and it matches perfectly. So I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this piece and they fit just perfectly. If you're nervous about that, you can use the mini dimensionals, but these do fit perfectly on that little 1/2 inch strip. Okay, and we're going to put this on, and I'm putting the red right at the side over here. And I just want a little bit of that bottom covered. And if you know who you are sending this card to, it would be really cute to write their name on the bottom of the tag here. Okay, so when I go to send this card, I will put the person's name so it looks like an even more personalized card for that person. Okay, now we're just going to add some bling to this. And I'm using the Holiday Rhinestone Basic Jewels, the red color in there. We have all kinds of red rhinestones, so feel free to use any that you have in your collection, or you could leave the rhinestones out, but come on, we need bling on these cards. Don't you think? I think so. Okay, So let's go ahead, and there's different sizes in this set, so I'm just gonna add some of the different sizes. And I want to do at least 3 of the same size. Okay, so you don't want to just have one big jewel. I'm doing 3 of the big, and now I can do the rest of them with this smaller one. And these little jewels just make this so nice. Stuck. So I'm just putting a jewel on each one of these berries. I know that's a lot of jewels, but it looks amazing. We all love sparkle. Okay, I think I have them all covered now. So I'm going to give you a minute because there are a lot of gems to put on there. But look how fun that adds. Looks so great. Okay, so on the inside of your card, I think I kind of left mine blank, but let me see. Yeah, I did. But let's do something. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that we did on the last card. I'm going to bring my envelopes over to do those as well. At the same time, got to have something on the inside. So I'm using the Mossy Meadow. Once, twice, once, twice, one, two, one, two. We need some berries. Sorry, I woke up with a little bit of a cold this morning. So I don't mean to cough in your ear. Okay, don't forget when you do your envelopes, You want to stick a piece of cardstock inside. This is cardboard. This is the little cardboard that came in one of the Stampin' Up! Kits. So I always keep that on hand because I don't want my blend bleeding through to the back side. Okay, that. Those of you who have been with me for a long time know that information, but this video is open to the public, and we might have somebody here that is new, that has never stamped before, and doesn't know all those little tricks. So I like to share that information. So there is the inside, the front of your card, and here is your envelope. Okay, did I give you enough time to catch up? I hope so. So let's go ahead and move on to card number 3. And Paper Pumpkin would not be the same if we did not have a Z fold card. It is my favorite fold, so you do get to see that a lot, but it's so effective. And even though we've done this many times in the past, each card's going to look a little bit different just because the products that you're using are different. So here is our Z card. And for that, we are going to need a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. We need a coordinating, well, actually 2 coordinating pieces. So mine is Mossy Meadow. This is the Cherry Cobbler. And these two are 3 by 4.5 inches. You need a white piece that is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. You have a piece from your card box in the kit that you cut to 2.5 by 3 15/16. You have another piece of the plaid that you cut to 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And this one, because of the score lines, I went ahead and embossed it with the subtle embossing folder. Once again, I like to use subtle type folders when I'm just using it to crunch out those score lines. We have one of our green tags. We have one of our leaf die cuts from the kit. You have another piece of plaid that is a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4. And we have one of the kit labels, sentiment labels. Okay, so let's start with our card base, the 5.5 by 8.5. We are going to fold this in half. Right in the center. Hit that with that bone folder to get that nice crisp edge. Then you're going to take the right side, the right open side of your card, and you're going to bring it back to that fold line. And give that a nice crisp edge. And now you have your Z fold. Z fold. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have our 3 by 4.5 inch pieces. Now, once again, this is cherry cobbler. I want to go ahead and round these edges. So I'm going to use the detailed trio punch. If you don't have that, you might have the old corner rounder from many years ago in your collection, or you can use your tag to align it at the top and just use that as a guide to round your corners. You don't have to round your corners. You can leave these straight if you want to, but I kind of wanted to mimic the roundness of the tag in these pieces. Okay, so we actually have several pieces to add corners to. So we are going to do our red pieces, we're going to use our white piece, and we're going to use our plaid piece. In addition to that, I am going to cut off the edge, the beige edge of this piece, this tag. I'm just going to trim that off. I'm going to trim off that bump at the top here. So I have straight edges going across, and I will add a corner to each one of that, each corner at the bottom here. So I'm just going to stick this in, and I'm going to round off all these corners. Just make sure when you're using your corner rounder that you're getting that piece tucked in nice and tight into that cutting blade, or else you'll end up with a kind of a funky corner cut. But this punch has a nice brace to it. It aligns that up for you perfectly. Okay, you have a lot more to cut than I do, so I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And once you've started cutting your pieces, you can go ahead and start gluing them together. So we have one of the the white card on one of these. Then we have the plaid that will go in the center of the next one, and the green goes in the center of that. So go ahead and glue those together. Before I glue this one down, I'm going to take my little 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 inch piece and just go ahead and glue that on, because if I need to trim it, it's easier to trim before it's glued onto the card. So because I already put adhesive on that, I'm just going to bring my little silicone craft sheet over here. And I'm going to bring this up about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And if you have a lot to write, you might not want to add this piece. But if you're like me and you don't like to write a lot, you can add this to take up some of that room. Okay, so I'm going to glue this in the center of this piece. And glue the plaid down. And then the green. Once again, you do not need to round all those corners. This card would look fine with the corners being straight. What I would probably do is leave this flat part down here and just go ahead and don't worry about this being rounded at the top. It will just look like a different shape for your tag. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this into the center of the inside back of the card. And then I'm going to close our card, and I'm going to put adhesive just on the back side. So, just ran out of adhesive here. But I knew that was coming, so I have one handy, ready to go. And I'm just going to put the adhesive on half of this. And then I'm going to put adhesive right at the edge, and I can see how long I need to make it because I'm using this one here as a guide. Okay, I just like it to be right at the edge. And now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to align it right over the top of that inside piece. So when my card is closed, that inside piece is covered. When it's open, it looks like this. Closed, you can't see it. It's magic. Okay, then we have our little leaf here. Once again, I don't like this big ball at the top. I'm going to take that off. And you can use rhinestones for this if you like that look from the last card and you have a big stock on hand, or you can color your little berries here. So what I'm going to do is just use my Stampin' Blend cherry cobbler, and I'm just going to color all these berries. You don't have to do this. You can leave it all with the basic beige if you want. But I just thought this added a little something. You can't see what I'm doing here. I'm just coloring the little berries. And now I'm going to glue this into the center of the green tag. So I'm just adding little glue dots. We're just going to add that to the center there. I just realized I forgot a piece. No, we have our little 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 inch piece. So not to mess that up, I'm going to use my undo. It'll take a minute for this to dry once I do this, but that's okay. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to pull that up here. Oops. Okay, I gotta let that dry for a second. While that's drying, I'm going to grab our cards that we did previously, and I'm going to add my stamped by to the back. We forgot to do that, or not I forgot to do that. Let me see if I can get it on straight this time. I need to add like dots or something so I can, it's straighter, but not perfectly straight. Let's see. Oh, I got that one straight. Yay! Okay, I'm going to add my little stamped by, or Stampin' Up! Copyright stamp. This thing's so tiny and I always am worried about stamping it upside down. Oh, it's the right way. Yay. How's everybody doing? I so miss you guys. Miss stamping with you all the time. But unfortunately, my body is not cooperating. Okay, let's go ahead since we have time while this is drying. Let's get our little label here and we're going to go ahead and stamp that with our sentiment. So now, set that aside for a second. Now we can bring our little plaid piece. And we are going to put that in the center of our front flap here. I'm going to go ahead and add more adhesive to this edge. I want that to stay down. And now I can add this back. There we go. That looks better. I was like, wow, that looks really plain. What's wrong here? Then I figured it out. Okay, we have our little label here. We're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals again. Pop that up. And we're going to align that with the left edge of this plaid. And across the bottom, I'm going to bring it on this one. I brought it up a little bit higher, but it's kind of up to you. This leaf kind of shows better, so I'm going to leave it be. Okay, I want to give some more dimension to this, so I'm going to add some of our gel dots. And I want to do it in a triangular shape, so I'm going to put one there, one down here, and then I'm going to put one at this end right here. Okay, so that just brings a little bit more dimension to that card. And once again, for this next part, you can use the bow that came in the kit, but I kind of felt like it covered a lot, and I could trim it a little bit, but I don't know. I wanted more dimension, so I went ahead and used our ribbon again. I'm just going to tie a ribbon bow. I want the double points again, so I'm going to fold this in half, cut it at an angle. And I'm going to use mini glue dots to adhere our bow. And once again, I want my ends to stay where I'm putting them. So I'm going to put a dot at the end. And I just ran out of dots there, so I will, don't do that. I'm going to add a dot. I'll go ahead and put this on. Oh. This one's a little bit long, so I'm gonna trim that a little bit more. Better. Better, better, better. Okay, let me add a dot underneath this one. There we go. Okay, so that ribbon will stay where I want it to stay. And I'm gonna flip this over and do our stamped by. Copyright stamp. So the copyright stamp comes in some of our stamp sets, and there's also stamp sets that have several different images that you can stamp on the back of a card. So that's where that comes from. And we need to do an envelope. So I really like the way our envelopes look that we did for the other cards. So I'm going to go ahead. I need a total of 4 more. You'll probably need a few more than that. Let's go ahead and stamp all of our envelopes now, so they'll be ready for the next card. And once again, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did previously with the mossy meadow and my little leaf branch. You can be more creative if you want to. You have lots of stamps in your collection you could use to do envelopes with. This one's working for me, so I'm going with it. I like the way it looks. How about you? Do you like the way it looks? I'm going to grab some cardboard pieces. Actually have several of these cut and ready to go because I don't like to stop and have to restuff an envelope. I stuff them all, then I can just dot away without any concern that I'm going to forget to put this cardboard inside. And you can wait till the end to do this. You don't have to do this right now. But if I don't do it now, it's not getting done. And I don't know about you, but it really is frustrating to me or upsetting or whatever you want to say when I go to send a card and my envelope is not stamped. I feel like I'm doing something wrong if I send out a naked envelope. I'm not, but that's how I feel. And look how quickly that went, doing them all at the same time. So fun. So there we have our envelope. Here's what the card looks like open. And here's what the card looks like shut. Ta-da! Give you a little bit more. Oh, you know what? I think what's happening is my lamp needs to be tightened. It seems to be getting lazy and going to sleep on me. It's falling down. We'll get that fixed. Okay, let's move on to card number 4, our final card for today. And hopefully you'll join me tomorrow for our, what's the name of it? Watercolor in Bloom class. Get all caught up from the ones that we missed while I was trying to travel and recover. Okay, so here's our final card for the day. And this one opens up and just has a fun little design on the inside. So let's grab this. I gotta fix this lamp. Sorry, it's bothering me. Okay, hopefully that's better. Okay, so for this one, we are going to need a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. Mine is the basic beige. We need 2 pieces of white that are 4 by 5.25. That's for each card now. So you're cutting, you should have 4. Then we need 1 of the red banner pieces, 1 of the green banner pieces, 1 of the green tags. We have 1 of the holly leaf die cuts from the kit, 1 of the just leaf die cuts, and we have this little guy. Okay, so if you remember, we cut 1 earlier. We had 1 left over, so you'll have the 2 that you need. Okay, we have a white piece that is 1/2 inch by 2 inches, and we're going to use 1 of the bows from the kit. And you'll need the little piece that, 1 of the little pieces that are on the inside of the bow, so don't throw all those away. Okay, we also should have, I'm missing a piece. Oh no, where'd it go? Is it in the envelope? Okay, well, we're missing a piece. Well, I'm missing a piece. So I'm just going to cut it now. And I'm using 1 of the plaid box dies. And we are going to trim this down to, as soon as I do this, I'm going to find the one I'm missing, right? That's okay. That is okay. All right, so what size is this? This is going to be 2 5/8 by 4 inches. So I'm going to trim this down to 4. I'll do it so you can see. And I found that I could see it better upside down, so I can see these score lines better. So I'm just going to line that up in the channel. Take this to 4. That's not gonna, this one's not long enough, so I've got to get, this one will be long. Okay, this one will be long enough. The top piece is not long enough, the bottom piece is. So now let me try that again. So there is, this is going to be a little bit shorter than the 2 3/4. That doesn't matter. So it's really 2 7/8. No, 2 15/16. Okay. So is that straight? No, it's not 2 15/16. It's 2 5/8. I'm sorry. Okay, so now on this piece, if you were to push it, there's a little tab area that comes out when you're making this a box. We want to make sure that stays on. So I'm just going to put Scotch tape over that so it doesn't go anywhere. We don't want that to pop out. Just put that right at the end. Okay, now if you want to, you can texturize this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get my, let's see which one I used. I used the Soft Subtle. I'm just going to get this. I'm going to texturize this because it just, to me, it adds a little something, something. Get that out. That here. Oh, I want my embossing to go left to right. So I want it to go this way. So you may have noticed that I have this little label on here that says one clear. All of the embossing folders kind of take different sizes of a sandwich. And so I like to mark my embossing folder to tell me what I need to use for this embossing folder to fit through the stamp and cut and emboss. So that's why you saw that. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the white pieces, the 4 by 5 1/4 inch white piece, and I'm going to glue this down to the bottom. And I can't see that very well, so I'm going to take a piece of black and put that there so I can see the bottom edge better. Can't see it on my white surface. And we're going to go ahead and glue this right to the bottom here. It's like that. And then we're going to take our green stripe banner and we're just going to align that at the top here. And once again, we have this little circle punch. I don't want that to come out, so I'm just gonna, oh, it did come out because I did that. Hold on. Make that go back in there. So now it won't come out again. Okay, so now I'm going to align this and I want to make sure, kind of want to cut that. I'm gonna glue that to the top of the plaid. And I want to make sure that that covers the entire white card. So I have a little bit over here to cut off and a little bit over here to cut off. Make sure that it goes side to side. There we go. And then we can go ahead and fold our card base in half. Make sure that it opens on the right-hand side. And we're going to glue that right into the center. Let's go ahead and glue our red tag on. Now I don't have the little dot that goes inside this red, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim this down. Yeah, I'm going to trim this off because I don't want that hole to show. So I just trimmed that right away. If you still have your dot, go ahead and tape it down so it doesn't come out, and keep your piece as long as it was. And I'm going to glue this about 3/8 of an inch away from the left edge of the white cardstock, straight down. Let's go ahead and get our red tag, or I'm sorry, green tag. And we're going to just put that at an angle in the middle. And I'm going to pop this corner up because I want to be able to slip this little guy underneath. So I'm going to trim off this ball here. And add a little dot of glue to each one of those petals. Ooh, I put way too much glue. So that's okay because I'll show you why I use the silicone craft mat. One is to keep glue off the surface of my work area, but another is just to be able to do this where I have way too much glue. So I'm just going to take some of that off. And now my card won't be all super sticky. Okay, so I'm going to just slide this underneath here. Get some of that green down at the bottom there. I can go ahead and push that down now. Let's go ahead and glue on our little wreaths. So we are going to avoid this area that has glue all over it. And I want the beige side to be facing up on my card, so I'm going to flip it over to the dark side. And I'm just going to add dots. And I'm going to glue that down. I'm a little lower than center, but not much. Now on the other leaf, I want the olive side to show. And this has a little bit of room on the circle. I'll just add a few dots here and there. And I'm going to align. You know what? I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and just put it like that. I was going to align the areas that don't have the leaves, but I don't need to do that because I'm going to be adding some gel dots to this, and it will look great the way it is. Okay, do that. Now we need our bow, and it has a little bit of texture to it, so look at that. Now I want to keep that, and you can keep this one if you want to, because it makes a really cute, let me see if I can, if you pretend that this is a present, you can do 2 of these to look like a bow at the top of your present. Can you picture that? So you can make a flower out of these as well. There's lots of these little shapes, so you could very easily have some fun with those. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue down my bow. I'm just going to cover that dot at the top. Make a lot of that show. Okay, so I wanted to give it, you don't have to do this, but I wanted to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit of this point, and I'm going to put it over the center of my bow. And if you want to, you can use a dimensional. This is a mini dimensional. And just pop that up to give it more dimension. So now you can see I have this bow right here. Just kind of finishes off that bow a little bit. Obviously not necessary, but you know me, we have to take it as far as we can. Okay, so what I would do is, this is the last card. You should know how many dots that you have left, your gel dots. So go ahead and use those up. So I have 10, which means that I can put 5, excuse me, 5 gel dots onto my wreath. So I'm going to start in this area that doesn't have the petals. And I'm just going to go around. Oh, I actually have, because I already did this on a card, I have more. I can use more of these. So I'm going to put 6 on. You can obviously, well, I might put 7 on. I've got them. I'm going to use them. So I'm just adding some more dimension to my wreath here. Let's see, I think I'll put one right here. There. So however many dots that you have left, go ahead and split them for your 2 cards. Like I said, I already used it on here, so, oh, I can add another one to this one. There we go. Yay. So I have two left. Did I forget to use it somewhere? I don't think so. So I think I'm good with those dots. Okay, so there we have that. But I want a sentiment. I do have a thank you stamp that would fit in here, but I'm going to go ahead. I don't want to pull out another stamp set. So I'm going to use my thanks so much stamp that we've used several times today. Get out my black piece so you can see. I have a piece of white that is a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. I'm getting my thanks so much, and I'm going to use cherry cobbler for this. And if you want to, you can round the corner here. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go ahead and let it be straight. And I'm just going to add this to the bottom of our tag. Okay, this needs to be trimmed just slightly. I want it to match side to side here. Okay. And it's a little funky. Oh, there's a little funky piece here. I don't like that. So hopefully I have another one right here. Trim off just a tad. I picked up that, for some reason, the red uh, tints do not like to dry as fast as the other colors. I don't know why that is, but I don't know. So anyway, I picked up that piece too quickly and I smeared the ink. So that's why I'm changing it. No smeared ink allowed on my card. Okay, even though that one's really dry, I'm gonna rub it from the back because I can. Okay, so there's our little thanks so much. And we're going to do the inside of our card now. And once again, I'm going to use the same design that we have stamped on these other cards because you know what? These cards are all going to different people. It doesn't matter. They're not going to know I stamped this before. And it's perfect for this card, so we're going with it. You may decide you want to go into your stamp collection and pull out all kinds of coordinating stamps and have more fun, creativity. But I'm good. I'm good with this. Okay, so I'm just going to add my berries because you know what? It's going to match my envelope. Yay. I'm gonna flip these over so I can do my stamped by. Some people ask me where I got this stamp, and I honestly don't know. I bought it many, many years ago. Stampin' Up! Used to have where we could do our own personalized stamps, but they don't do that anymore, unfortunately. I loved when they allowed us to do that, but we don't have that option anymore. So I would recommend if you want a personalized stamp, if you don't have one anymore, go ahead and just go on Amazon or go on the internet and just type in personalized stamps. There's lots of companies that you can have stamps made through. And uh, if you're going to sell your cards, once again, you've got it by our angel policy. You have to use the copyright Stampin' Up! And if you're having a personalized stamp made, you can already have that added in on your stamp so you don't have to stamp separately like I just showed you I did. Okay, so here is the inside. Here's the outside. And here's our coordinating envelope for this. Yay! There we have it. Oh, the sun's shining. Hold on, let me see if I can. There, that got rid of that. Okay, so there we have our final card. I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to bring up all of our cards to refresh your memory because I would love for you to leave a comment. I think this was the second one. Leave a comment as to what card was your favorite, and I'll check those out so I know what you like to see in the future. So I'm going to come up here. Maybe not. There we are. I'm just going to come up here and thank you for joining me for this fun class. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I also hope that I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Somewhere I have to